Now, today is a first for me as I welcome two guests to the show. Victor Idoko and Lionel O'Mally are two experienced financial planners who have come together to co-author a powerful new children's book called Bunnies and Monies. Drawing on years of helping families and everyday Australians make smarter money decisions, they've created an engaging and accessible introduction to money for younger minds. Victor brings an international perspective as a wealth strategist and long-time educator with a deep passion for teaching kids how good money habits can shape their future. His own early lessons about saving and investing inspired him to focus on financial education and legacy, and that personal mission is at the heart of this book. Lionel adds his expertise as a retirement specialist who has spent over a decade simplifying complex financial concepts so people can feel more confident and in control. From his country town roots and rugby league days to guiding Australians towards secure retirements, he's always focused on practical real-world advice. Together, Victor and Lionel have poured their shared values of family, community and empowerment into Bunnies and Monies, a fun and practical story designed to help parents start meaningful money conversations and build a healthier financial future for every family.
Hello and welcome to The True North Show. I'm your host, Megan North. I am a purpose finder, mental health professional, and guide for those ready to return to who they truly are. Here, we explore what it means to live a life led by purpose, alignment, and deeper inner truth. Through real conversations, powerful reflections, and soul-led strategies, we'll uncover the stories, tools, and insights that help you navigate life's crossroads and find your own true north. So whether you're in the middle of a transformation, seeking clarity, or just curious about what's next, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Your path starts now.
Welcome to the show, Victor. Lionel, I'm really thrilled to have you here today.
Thanks for having us, Megan. It's a pleasure being here.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Megan. It's nice to be on your show.
Thank you. So, Victor, I'm going to ask you the very first question. So, what was the defining moment that led you to create a children's book that teaches kids about money and healthy money habits?
Yeah, so I think the defining moment that led to action was actually when Lionel mentioned it to me. It's like, oh, we need to do something for financial literacy and kids. And I was like, okay, let's definitely do a book. So that was the defining moment. I think before then, I've always not really known how to help parents and help, guardians teach kids about money. I've always wanted to do something. I just never really thought about it. And then when Lionel messaged, I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah. And so what prompted you, Lionel? Why did you think of a book?
I'll probably give you the same example, but I asked Victor and Victor told me. But we both have written our own books individually on our own before. Victor's book was the 7 Basic Wealth Strategies, and mine's called the Little Book of Retirement Concepts. And we thought we would join together and write a book together. And Victor, you suggested a kid's book. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea, because I've got 3 kids of my own and who are featured in the book, the 3 bunnies, which are my 2 boys and my little daughter. And I was like, there's no kids book in the market at the moment that actually helps talk about money at all. It's always talking about a range of different scenarios with kids' books these days, and I won't go into any of those, but there was nothing in there that sort of spoke about money, good habits, and anything like that. And I was like, us as advisors, financial planners here in Australia, we are educators first. So we educate people on how they understand finances. And I was like, why don't we just create a kids' finance book? And away we went with it.
Fantastic. And, look, I grew up, my parents were older. I'm the youngest of 6 children. And so when I was born, my eldest brother was 17. So my parents were effectively 2 generations away from me. And I grew up in a family Catholic household. Money is the root of all evil. We don't talk about money. And it was just normal that it just never, ever was spoken about. So I love this concept because as a child, I had no concept of money. Even going into young adulthood, my first job, all of that, I never had that concept because my parents didn't talk about it. So I think that this is absolutely groundbreaking for parents, and also to give parents something tangible to then help and guide the children. I think that that's where I think that the genius is here.
Yeah, I can 100% agree because the Australian household, like you said, the taboo area is money. No one really talked about money at all. And that's probably led to a lot of issues for retirees trying to manage their money now. When I see it at the moment, a lot of people stick their head in the sand talking about superannuation here in Australia. It's a very complex area for a lot of people because they just don't understand it. They've never been educated on it. And then once we've formed the book together, I'm like, Victor, we're onto something here. A lot of people are talking about this. We give it to someone. They love it. Oh, well, I wish we learnt this. I wish we did this. I wish I had that for my kids. And that's the thing now. We've got this little book series that can go and help the generation coming through to be more equipped with their own money. So it's pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think part of that as well. Part of one thing that I like with the book as well is it's very practical and it's still story based. So it's just the stories, and kids. Everyone loves stories, and everyone will remember stories. So it's just the stories that are embedded in there, but the psychology behind it is finance and really educating people on financial literacy. So to me, it was genius. I was speaking to Lionel today. I was like, "There's no way I'd have been able to do this book by myself," because he really brings that excuse me, that practical side by him having kids and ensuring that we're doing it in such a way that kids understand this, and add the story, add the money psychology. To me, it's amazing, and we've had amazing reviews so far. So.
And
the story is one thing, but also the illustrations that we've had done as well are they're top quality. They're high class.
Was it someone that you knew?
We found an illustrator online, just a consultant that does illustrating, and we've given him the brief and the idea, and he's come back with the illustrations for the book. So it's been we've had a lot of feedback on that as well.
Fantastic. And some of the energy work that I do is I work with people on their theta brainwave. And so we're in a theta brainwave between the ages of 2 and 6. And that's when we take on all our belief systems. And usually kids between the ages of 2 and 6 don't necessarily have their own belief systems. It's usually their parents, their grandparents, it's ancestral. So having this book as well, it's fantastic because it's almost subconsciously putting all these belief systems into children when they're in that theta brainwave, because then unconsciously, subconsciously, they're taking all of this in. So it's a perfect time, age bracket as well.
Yeah, your biggest learnings are between that age.
Yeah, so I think I was speaking to a psychologist the other day, and they're like, and I've read a few books about this as well, hence why I was very passionate about it. We need to start educating kids from when they're about 2 years old. And no one really does that with finance because, one, the parents don't know how to. They don't even know what to begin with. Even me, before I wrote the book, I've probably been talking in concepts that the kids can't understand. But with the book now, it's you just read it to them, you explain to them, you ask a few questions because there are a few lessons at the back, and you've embedded some concepts that will help them thrive. And, the simple concept in the first book is, save, spend, and share. And, one thing we're talking about with Lionel as well, each parent has the ability to choose what ratios that should be at. Because, some households would want you to share with your siblings or share with your family. Some other households will want you to share just more than the smaller family group, but, externally in the world. So to me, it's just perfect because you can teach and shape the kids how you want them to be thought.
And have you found that there is a difference in money mindset from Australian culture to international culture?
I'll definitely yes, because I obviously experienced that firsthand. I wasn't born in Australia; I was born in Nigeria, and I think one of the things in in the household I grew up, money wasn't a taboo, so we always spoke about money. It was something that we spoke about every time, And my mom really taught me how to save. Okay, now one thing I've noticed is, in the non-Western world, developing countries, they teach you how to save a lot. So generally, you're a good saver, but then you're not a good spender. You're not a good sharer. Okay, it's all about saving and just keeping as much as you can. My perspective on that is you need to have a balance, and everyone's balance is slightly different. Even myself online, I was speaking about this, and he was like, he might get the kids to save X amount. I was like, okay, well, I think I'll do X amount. So even between us is different. So we were never taught the balance back home. It was more save, 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 save. And then as soon as I was able to spend, I was spending. But I was like, surely there's a better way to do this. And balancing all that is very important. So yeah, cultural differences matter and are very, very impactful because the financial system back home in Africa is different from the financial system here. So as an advisor, I understand both because I've experienced both, but the advice I'm giving people here wouldn't be the same advice I'll be giving people back home because the structures and everything are different.
And do you think culturally that's because in Australia, we live in a pretty, I would say, a privileged country in the sense of, super is paid by our employees. We've got free healthcare. There's a lot of things that we get naturally being an Australian citizen that I suppose doesn't then compute for us, that we have to accommodate that if we didn't, like, it just comes naturally to us, right? If you've got a job, your employer pays your super. If you need to go to the doctor, you go to the hospital and you don't pay anything. And so I'm wondering if then from an Australian point of view, we've kind of got a bit of a, I don't know, I wouldn't say a privilege, or maybe a privileged expectation that then from a young age, we don't have to think about survival, I suppose, because there's a lot given to us.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think, the part there is the structure. The structure back home is, it's interesting because from a relationship and community perspective, it's very communal. But from a wealth and survival perspective, it's kind of very personal for themselves because, as you said, there's no Medicare, there's no welfare support, there's no retirement planning. So if you don't save, you're going to be in so much trouble. While as in Australia, I have that. So that's part of the structural differences that we have, or rather, that the Western world has compared to.
Lionel, have you got anything to add to that?
I can't really talk about anyone internationally, but I do agree that we are, with the superannuation arrangement coming in 1992 as a mandatory thing. A lot of the countries around the world are envious of the superannuation system that we've built up here. So, like Donald Trump talked about in the last couple of weeks, that he wants to bring in something like that in the US, and it's gonna seeing the fruits. There's a lot of money that people have inside superannuation. So it's going to be massive for retirees nowadays retiring, because they're going to have a lot more money. It's going to take a lot less pressure off the settling system. So if we can educate people more about these areas, then it's going to help the system so much more. And yeah, I think countries should take note of what we're doing here in Australia in the superannuation system for sure.
Yeah. And so, Lionel, I'll ask you this question. So how do you balance running your financial business, your all that you do, and then writing books, and then still staying connected to the deeper purpose behind teaching kids about money? Where does that balance come in? Have you got tips and rituals and things that you can share?
Well, I'm fortunate to have a wife and 3 beautiful kids. So part of being a parent and being responsible is partly that majority of that part of your day when you're at home. So trying to be a good role model for them and teaching them the right way to think about money and saving money and stuff like that all comes with that responsibility. So fortunately for Victor and I, we just sort of stumbled across each other. And if I didn't find him and he didn't find me, then the Bunnies and Monies book series probably wouldn't have been born, to be honest.
Mm.
And if we didn't go to Vancouver 2 years ago, and if we didn't go to Miami last year, it probably wouldn't have been born. But juggling it, it's just doing it. It's not thinking about it. It's planning ahead, being organised, and just doing it, and just trying to work hard is the motto with it. So I don't try and think, how do I do this or how do I do that? I'll just get on and get it done. Like, get it done, do it, do the parenting and stuff when we need to do parenting stuff. We do the work hours in the work hours, and then for us as small business owners, we're always working around the clock after hours that people don't see as well. So we have got the evening between 8 p.m. and 12 o'clock at night time to fill in extra hours if we need to. So, we just get in and get it done. Organisation is the key part, being organised, planning ahead.
Yeah. And so, Victor, how did you and Lionel come across each other? Did you meet in Australia, or were you somewhere else?
Yeah, so we met in Australia, and who's this guy? In my mind, I was like, who's this guy that's so passionate about? There's a group called MDRT. It's like a networking group for financial advisor. Like, who's this guy so passionate about it? And then he spoke about it a few times. I was like, I'm not interested. And then I just found out that he was genuinely trying to help other advisors and trying to ensure that we're doing, we're all learning and bouncing ideas off each other. So okay, I'll give it a go. And yeah, so pretty much we went to Vancouver together. That was the first time. We actually went there on the same flight. And and in there is such a huge conference that everyone is together. So we spent lots of time together. So I learned a lot. He told me he had just written his book on the little concepts of retirement. And then he told me about it. I was like, oh, nice. And then I got motivated to write my own book as well. So wrote my own book, and then we caught up in Miami again next, and we're like, oh, what are we going to do next? And so the relationship and everything just built on that, and I think it was just a perfect match because two authors, we kind of know how and why books are important and how to go about it. So it was easy from there. So yeah, we met through financial planning.
Wow. And so, excuse me. So, Victor, you were just saying, and Lionel too, you said you just take action and just get these things done. But can you share a significant challenge that you face while you're creating the book? So, I don't know, creatively, emotionally, logistically, how did you stay aligned to the purpose of this book and make sure that you were focusing on that purpose as you went through that process?
Yeah. For us is we're very hard. Time is the hardest part to work out what we needed to do. So for us moving forward, we just said, let's just lock in the days, lock in the time, lock in the days to get this stuff sorted and give ourselves a deadline of what we need to have done by that time. So setting yourself deadlines, and when you set yourself deadlines and times in our world, it's like you have to get it sorted and get it organized. This is what we have to do. So once we did that and gave ourselves deadlines, then everything started to fall into place. We had the stories written, we had the illustrators organized, and it sort of all fallen into place before the end of the year because the book's been released just before Christmas. So our plan was to get the book out, have it released before Christmas so people can read the book before Christmas and use it as a Christmas present leading up to Christmas. So yeah, deadlines and locking in time.
Yeah. Well, what I'll add to that as well. One thing that I was very happy to partner with Lionel about. He gets stuff done, and I like working with people that get stuff done because I know I get stuff done as well. So it just worked well because we'd have a list of things to do before I know it. He's done two. I've done two. 6 of things already done, and then the other 2 are just kind of things we just divvy up and do. So which was really good because things move a lot quicker. In terms of staying focused on the goal, there are 3 things I care about deeply, and one is education, one is health, and one is kids. And I have this call it a utopian mindset that if kids grow up in the with good education, good ethics, the world is a better place. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do about that? So even before the book, I was already helping out with a few charities and a few things around kids and education. And so with the book, it was just like, yep, fits that purpose well. Because even from a financial planning perspective, our educated clients or clients that are financially savvy, they're the best clients because they just get where we fit in, how we can help, and how complex this is versus just surface level. So that really tied into those three things. Well, two of the three things I care about, and I was like, yep, we have to do it. There's no question.
And where does that passion for you, Victor, come? Like that educating children? Where do you think that comes from?
Yeah. So look, the pros and the cons of coming from an underdeveloped society to a developed society is like the kids in Africa that don't have the basics, they don't have education, they don't have water, they don't have food. So to me, that was something I felt like because I understand that deeply, I should do something about. Okay, so it definitely came from there. Like when I moved here, and I could just see the difference. Because I know I've done okay moving here, but there are lots of people that if given the same opportunity would have done a lot better. So I was like, I'm not going to waste that. So it definitely comes from having both perspectives, which is a blessing and a curse. Because if I didn't know better, I probably wouldn't feel so deeply about it. But yeah.
And I guess for you, Lionel, it's just that deep passion that you've got about educating your kids as much as you can as they grow up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're just educating them to be healthy little humans to make good decisions for themselves. And if we can sort of start them earlier at the start to think about the things about what to do and what not to do and how to sort of adapt to making good decisions over time, then that's our journey. Part of being a parent is sort of one of the main things there is making sure that you can bringing up respectable kids that can make good decisions for themselves. So, it's lost these days, I find, in the world. There's so much money around. There's cash and cards and all that sort of stuff. The cardless system's taken over, so you can't really see the real appreciation of what value and what money actually looks like. When I used to grow up, we used to have $2 and go down to the lolly shop, and you could buy a stack of lollies for $2. Like, if you had $2 back in the day, you were rich. You had a lot of money.
Yeah, rolling.
Back at the North Burke store. But nowadays, if you go down there, you can't even buy two red frogs. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why we got to teach kids the value of money, where it comes from, how you earn it, why you should save it. And then these days is like the main common thing that everyone talks about in Australia at the moment is the cost of housing, the cost of living. Like, will you ever own a house? A lot of people will probably never own a house, especially here in Sydney at the moment. So if you can help people earlier on save their money more wisely, then they're going to have a lot more at the back end or when they start their adult life as well. So you're building in traits to people, into kids, into the generation, really.
Yeah.
The right traits to help them manage money effectively.
And are you sure that there's not another reason for you that then you don't want that call from your teenager saying, Dad, I haven't got any money, can you lend me some?
Yeah. Or I should say, son, you should have listened when you were 5 years old reading the Bunnies and Monies book.
Exactly. But I agree with you, that whole tangible money thing as well. I remember my first job, I was 17 and I worked I was a legal secretary, and I remember the lead secretary used to, they'd go to the bank and they'd get the pay. And I think I used to get like $170 a week or something, and she'd be there giving it out. And she got paid $280, and I used to say to my mum, oh my gosh, she gets so much more money. But that tangible was, you felt like you were getting something tangible. But now it's just contactless, and there's, I don't know, that it's like we've disconnected from what money is.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, especially when you go to the shops. They're like, Dad, can we tap? I'm like, money just doesn't tap and grow on trees. Like, we have to go and work. Like, I'm sitting here in a car on the side of the road because I've been out seeing clients at their house doing meetings, and that's where our money comes through from advice. But yeah, we need to go back, I think, from where we were taught of how to like be more careful with money over time. Well, because if you think about it, if you go back in time, like around the Great Depression, money was very scarce. And if you see people from that area, and I thankfully have clients that were from that era, that they actually saved so well. They had jars of money saved for different reasons, bills and expenses and kids' travel and travel account, and everything was in like a little jar or an envelope or something like that. So what we've done through the Bunnies and Monies book series is we've created a little one-pager at the back of the book called Little Money Lessons. So each guardian or parent can actually look at the little money lessons that we're teaching during that story and take that away into their family household and actually apply that and help them teach stuff. We've actually got in the first book about actually giving the kids a $2 coin to go and buy something and see what they can go and buy with it, whether it's a lolly or it's a toy shop or something like that, helping them and actually giving them some rejection as well. You actually can't go and buy that with $2 because you don't have enough money. Save some more money and you potentially can go and buy it.
Yep.
And they're the lessons that we're giving to kids in the book. It's like you don't have to go and buy instant gratification stuff that makes you happy for a moment in time. Maybe go and buy something that's going to be more valuable for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember as a kid, saving your money to buy something that you wanted and finally having that amount of money and being able to buy it. It was so joyous because you were, it felt really like a real treat because you knew that you'd saved little bits of money to be able to purchase that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Victor, what advice would you give to a parent or an educator who is just starting to teach kids about money, even if they don't feel financially confident themselves?
Yeah, very good question. I think one of the key things there is about progress, not perfection. So it's like start where you are and grow from there, because whatever happens in the financial world will change over time. But if you're teaching the right principles and if you're just teaching, people will understand that they need to keep learning and things will become better. So I'll say, look, many people don't know everything. And I'll be very surprised if any parent that is not, a financial planner knows that much. And when I say that much to feel 100% confident that I'm teaching my kids the right thing. So I'll say it's about definitely just starting with what you know, being intentional about that as well. And then, and starting with the kids and with yourself as well. So I think with financial literacy, everyone needs that. So even parents, wherever stage they are at, you still need something. Because if you're speaking to a 40-year-old, you're really focused about paying the school fees, clearing off the mortgage, just having enough good cash flow. By the time you go into your late 50s now, you're worried about retirement. So there's always something to learn, and with that comes the ability to always teach your kids about something. I think principles are very important because one thing we see as well is lots of, parents, especially those close to 50, always tell the kids about super, super, super. Okay. But, generations are different because as Lionel said, super only came in 1992. So, anyone retiring now, they've probably had minimal super because it came out late. But if you think about the generations who are just starting to work 20, 30s now, you're going to have a very healthy super over time because of that 12%, which is going in consistently. So parents, educators, everyone, just remember it's progress, not perfection. Even we advisors, we do about 40 hours of learnings every year just to keep learning and keep progressing. So if we do that, people should think about learning the same way. And for kids, it's like just teach them something. You teach them nothing, they get nothing. Teach them something they can build on that.
Yeah. Lionel, anything else to add to that?
What would you teach parents, would you? Is that what was the question?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, just trying to keep it very simple. Trying to help make them understand their own personal finances first. Like, so they can understand that before they go and give So, for example, with the principles that we give in the book is just help them identify what money is. So, a simple exercise for themselves is go and help yourself understand your own personal finances. What do you have in your own financial assets, and how does it operate, and how does it work? And is there a better option out there for you? Looking at your super and just understanding that first before they can go and give education to their kids. They need to help understand what they currently have at the moment themselves. So, like even just simple things about banking these days. Most people these days have a mortgage when they're paying down debt, but they don't have an offset account attached to the loan. They generally have a bank account in another separate bank account that is an interest account, that is a savings account. So they're technically getting paid interest on their money in another bank account when it could be offsetting their mortgage. But the thing is, the interest that they make, they actually got to pay tax on that money before they can go and use it. So you're actually getting taxed on the money before you can go and pay down your debt. Have an offset account attached to your home loan so that it helps you pay down the loan and the principal quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Is a simple thing for borrowing money and managing their money more effectively, owning a home.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. There's so much. And so, Victor, in what ways do you believe that your personal upbringing and life experiences shape the message that you're trying to pass on to children through this book? So you've touched on a little bit about that, but I'd love to go a little bit deeper in relation to that.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I'm very happy about is coming from both worlds. And, with both worlds, I needed to really understand deeper how things work and why they are that way. So my upbringing back home in Nigeria really taught me how to save. Like saving to me is one of the easiest things to do, just because it was drilled down into me from a very young age. I remember when I was about, I'll say 4, 5, definitely not more than that, because I remember we were staying in that house until I was about 8, and halfway through that, my mom, generally in Africa, they give you money if you've been a good kid. Like literally they hand out money to you or on your birthday or during Christmas, they'll give you money, which was just the way it is. So very similar to red envelopes. Okay. So I remember the first time I actually got money, or the first time I remember getting money, my mom was like, how about you give it to me? I'll save it for you. If you need it in the future, we can then use it. And I remember her putting it under her jewelry box. I remember vividly. She just put it there. I was like, don't worry, it's there. Don't worry about it. And what happened a few days later is like I went back to the jewelry box and it wasn't there. I was like, Mom, where's my money? Obviously, she took it there. She took it away from there just to keep it safe. But that was my first memory about money. So from that time onwards, each time I got money, I saved it. I saved as much as I could because that's the first thing I knew about money. It wasn't actually to even spend the money. It was like, here's the money, let's save it. So my upbringing was very strong in that regard because, I just knew how to save. Then coming here and I came here to study, so then I had to kind of start spending my own money, if that made sense. So it was eye-opening to see that, okay, well, there needs to be a balance, and one of the good things my dad also taught me as well growing up was share and give back to the community. So joining or having those three things together, I needed to find out my own balance and what that looks like. Okay. And that has really helped me and shaped, how we teach parents and how we even just teach our clients how to manage. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to those three things, no matter what age you are, is what are you going to save? What are you going to spend? What are you going to share? And sometimes it might get to zero because a retiree, they might not need to save anything because they've saved enough. Okay. But, that bucket might then be zero. But it still comes down to those three things, because as a retiree, what are you sharing with your kids, your grandkids? You need to manage that. If not, you run out of money. So it's just the three basic principles or the three basic jars we need to deal with over time. So that really shaped, the book, shaped the way we approach things, and keeping things sometimes that simple for people. They just get it. It's like, okay, now we need to ensure your money is enough for you to last your life expectancy, and then you can share a bit here and there. Done. That's think about money.
Yeah, I love that. And for you, Lionel?
Yeah, I was just the money principles going back for me. I grew up in a small country town and back out of Burke, and my dad was a shearer and my mum worked in a clothes shop. So I come from pretty humble beginnings, and I started work in shearing sheds when I was a young kid. So money was scarce, wasn't in abundance, that's for sure. And I always just remembered just having some money to save it. I always just save my money for something bigger. And now they're the principles that we try and teach our current kids at the moment. They're actually teaching them to save for a house. That's what we talk about. Saving for something big is a house, because a house could eventually gives them something to invest in that's going to give them money back. So we're giving them a big audacious goal to go and set their eyes on, but embedding into that principle right at the start when they're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, that what are you saving your money for? We're actually going to save it for a house. They're not saving for chocolate. They're not saving for lollies. They're not saving for a bike, or a bike is the things that we buy them in between. So we're building in the principles early on that to buy something, we should be using our money smartly to invest wisely. So over time, it's going to give them more security.
Yeah. And I love, Victor, particularly what you talked about in the sense of that balance as well, because I think, at the end of the day, money is just energy. Like it's an exchange of energy in a sense. So, and particularly now because everything's cashless, so it really is like it's not even tangible. But I love that you talk about that balance, because I think sometimes, if you've just got all your money in one jar and it's not moving and it gets stuck. So it is that beautiful balance of then how can you share it? How can you help others as well? But then how can you invest in some things so that then it's constantly moving, because then it's always got energy moving around it.
Yeah. So one thing I preach to lots of people as well, I always tell people, think of money as a tool. It's a tool to, one, help you survive now. It's a tool to, two, is a tool to also help you in the future have a better life. It's a tool to impact people around you. It's a tool. So use that tool wisely. And, all of a sudden, money is not something that you just keep building, because sometimes when I model out scenarios for clients and there's so much money towards the end, I'm like, do you want to spend some? Because it's the balance. You don't need to have $20 million when you're retiring. You don't need to have $10 million. You don't need that. Even small things like when I'm speaking to my older clients about, giving an early inheritance, the joys and the hardest time for most people is when they have kids and a huge mortgage. After then, it gets a lot better. So, helping your family out then can be a huge, thing versus giving them this inheritance when they can't even say thank you, when you've passed away. So it's a tool to really live the life you want to live. And it depends. It's very different from person to person. It's whatever you want to live, so use money as a tool.
Yeah, I love that. So, Lionel, how has your understanding of teaching financial literacy to children evolved over time? So what's changed in your thinking from, your first draft of the book to now?
I think that we got it right from the start, to be honest. The one thing that we've been toying about with the idea at the moment is that those 3 jars: save, spend, and share. So I've actually been going and asking clients this, Victor, and capturing the data on it to see what people think of. Like, how much should you? I'll ask your question, Megan. If you're starting out in life, how much should you save of $100? Should you save, spend, or share?
So I would say, I don't know, save 70% of it, spend 15 and share 15.
That's
You're pretty good saver, Megan.
That's your answer, and everyone else has their own opinion and answer as well. Because everyone, for example, a good at helping you save.
We've got a bit of delay with Lionel today.
Yeah, I do.
Is that
Sorry, Lionel, we lost
Can you hear me now? Am I?
Yep, you're back.
That's right. Yeah, I was just weighing up the ideas of save, spend, and share. So we're accumulating that information at the moment and trying to teach those principles. Everyone's going to have their own way of teaching it. So just adapting to that, different people's circumstances. So
yeah, and I think that's the thing too, right? It's an I suppose an overarching principle in the sense of do what you can do and what works for you, because what works for you and I and could be different for other people. So, but I think it's just fundamentally having some guidelines, I think, and just a principle, I suppose. Yeah, I think it's really great.
Yeah, that's that principle at the start of life is the key part there is to save. So generally that ranges between sort of like 50 and 80 or 90% if you can save that amount. 70% is where I think, and you should spend 20% and share 10%.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I love it. Love that. And so, Victor, do you have any daily practices or parenting teaching rituals that help you stay grounded and inspired to create content that help kids build confidence around money?
Okay. This is probably a Lionel questions, but I'll give my 2 cents because Lionel has the kids and, he does. He would have the practical tips. Mine might not be too practical. One thing we didn't get back home, and I think is lovely, but it's just the way it was back home. It's very normal. We didn't have that many bedtime stories. Like we didn't just get it. I remember just always sleeping on the couch or in the lounge, and next thing my parents picked me up and take me to my room, and that was it. That was the usual routine. So if there's a daily thing, I'll take the bedtime stories are very good to help kids learn a lot. And so, look, if I was to start a family, I definitely would want to be in a situation where I can read to my kids, especially early on, every night. Just the basic things, teach them, whatever other values you want them to have in life, but also, values about money. So that would be my tip. But this is a Lionel question for sure.
You are 100%. You're on the money, Victor, because the routine is a big thing in families, and bedtime routine is like critical, I think, to help kids open up their imagination at the start of before bedtime. But at the same time, reading to them is really important in that 2 to 7 year range, because they soak up so much information at that time. And the more you read to them, the more they love reading as well. So you create a good habit, and life's all about creating good habits. Reading is a really good habit, long-term habit, because a long-term education piece where you're learning about stuff all the time. So that's why the Bunnies Monies book is a great little tool, and it's a really cool, catchy rhyme in the book as well. It's not just a facts and figures type thing. It's a little bedtime story about 3 little bunnies finding a piece of money and then learning about different ways that they can go and earn money themselves to go and buy stuff that they want to go and do. And Harvey is my middle son. He's sort of like he's always full of character, the guy is, and he's always niggling and picking on it. Not picking on, but no, he's playing with his younger sister and niggling with her all at the same time. But he finds one of the parts of the book talks about once they've earned their money, Liliana says she gives her money to her mum and keeps it in a pouch so Harvey can't come near, and he cracks up about that all the time. But I've actually read the Bunnies book to my kids a couple of times, and it's actually really nice. It's really nice to talk about the stories, and it's talking about dad and mum, their role in the family, and talks about hard work, like working hard. It's not a bad thing these days. You actually got to work hard. If you work hard, it's good for you long term, and working smarter as well. So The key to the book is the back of the book with the little money lessons that they can take away those lessons to give it back to their families. So
that's great. I love that you've got that practical as well, because it's all well and good to read a book and get the theory, but then it's like, what do I do with this? How do I actually implement it?
Yeah.
Yes, and I've read it a few times as well. And look, even me as an adult, I've honestly liked it. Just the stories. Even the part where it says Liana drops 1 or 6 when she's trying to earn some money. It's like all that is one or 6 of the clothes she was folding. And when I finally met Liliana, it sounded like I'd known her for ages. So so it's a truly good story. Let's assume parents don't really care too much about finances, which they should. It's just a naturally good story about three bunnies who are siblings, and excuse me, and how they find the coin and what they think about it. So it's a wonderful book.
Great. And so, Lionel, I'd love to ask you just in relation to, you're really busy, you've got a family, you've got a very successful business, you're collaborating, writing books. What sort of things do you do to make sure that your mental health is in good shape?
I try and exercise a little bit. The more I exercise, the better I feel over time. I just don't do as much as I'd like. But yeah, exercising is good to release a bit of pressure. I do regular catch-ups with my advisor mates, and that's where Victor and I are both caught up. We usually catch up on a quarterly basis to catch up and talk about business and networking and just developing ourselves every quarter type thing. So yeah, networking with people. But yeah, just hanging out with family. Really, I sort of get rejuvenated every time I'm spending time with the family. And towards the back end of the year, you get to spend quite a bit of time with your family over the Christmas period. So I'll be coming ready and roaring for 2026 after I've spent quite a bit of time with them.
Yeah, fantastic. And Victor, what about you?
Yeah, as Lionel was saying, I was just thinking about my look. I love fitness, but I was thinking, okay, well, how did I love fitness? How did this come about? My dad was a soldier. I was in the military, so with the military and being a soldier, they'll usually get up about 4 or 5 every day, and then they'll go for a workout. Okay, so as a young man, I didn't really work out too much or do any of that, but seeing my dad do that was just something that I thought was normal. So my love for fitness, which has just kept going and kept growing, has been, built from that habit from my dad, because my dad did that. He still does that, So that's one thing. And that's, I think, one of the key things that I care about as well, health, because I think that health space is very important as well, because if you're healthy and you take care of yourself, you actually have more longevity to spend time with the loved ones and everyone you care about. But definitely a good habit that came from my parents, which is another encouragement to just parents and anyone, that even though I did not go work out with my dad even in my teens, that habit still stuck with me. So it's important to ensure you communicating good habits subconsciously or consciously to your kids. But yeah, fitness for me is my go-to. And I also read lots of books. I listen to lots of audiobooks, and time with family when I can, but my family's all over the world, so it's better. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love that. So can you believe that we've only got a few minutes left? Honestly, I think we could even speak longer and longer. But for the moment, we've only got a few minutes left. So I would love to ask you both separately the same question. Well, it's a little bit tweaked for this conversation, but it's a similar question to what I ask all of my guests before we finish our conversation. So Lionel, I'll start with you. So what is one lesson about money, mindset, or purpose that you wish you had learned earlier as a child, and that now you would love every child to know who reads your book?
Great question. I think on purpose, because my business is purpose planning, always create a purpose in life that gives you drive. Like, find your purpose in life so you can actually get out of bed every day. Whether it's in work, whether it's at a school, whether it's academically, find your purpose. For example, like, you want your purpose in life. The start of my life was, my purpose in life was to go and become an NRL player, play in the National Rugby League in Sydney. But my purpose, and during that whole time, once you found your purpose, don't give 75% or 85%. Give 100% on your full purpose that you can give it. Like, once you've found your purpose, go and give 100%. Don't just go half-assed with the whole thing. Go 100% in, because once you found it, it gives you strength, gives you energy, and you can work through the tough days when those tough days come, and you always keep your mind on the end goal with the purpose that you've created.
Yep.
So, purpose is the thing that I would help people. I'd help the younger generation find and discover their purpose sooner, so then they can be more controlled with their future.
Yeah. And perfectly tied back into the name of this show being the True North Show. Thank you for that. And I didn't pay him to say that. So, and so, Victor, what about you? What is one lesson about money, mindset, or purpose that you wish you had learned earlier as a child, and now you're a child that read your book to know?
Yeah, so I cannot agree with Lionel more as to, just finding that purpose, and don't be scared if that purpose changes from time to time. Okay, and obviously stick to it and give it 100%. Now, what I'll add to that is, which, as I said, I didn't get before, is the balance, and really understanding the balance, because most of my clients are actually parents in their 30s and 40s. So I always tell them that balance sometimes means that, okay, at this period in time, you may not be able to save, but that's the balance you need right now to keep going. Okay. So as long as you understand that balance and we're working towards the right purpose and goal, that's okay. So balance is very important, because as I said, with young families, by the time they might be on one salary because one is staying at home and the mortgage and all that, it might just be a time where you spend some of your savings, but that's just a time frame. So just balance on top of the purpose, on top of the drive, on top of giving 100 or 200% if you can to anything you do. So
yeah, fantastic. Wow, I love that. Victor and Lionel, thank you. I am so incredibly grateful to have had both of you on the show today, and I'm definitely going to buy the book, because I can't wait to read it now. So hopefully I might learn something from it too. So thank you both so much for being on the show today.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Megan. It was great.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of The True North Show. I hope today's conversation brought you closer to your own sense of purpose and reminded you of the power you hold within. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who's also walking the path of becoming. To continue the journey, head over to megannorth.com. You'll find resources, support, and ways to work with me one-on-one. Until next time, keep trusting yourself, following your intuition, and taking one aligned step at a time. Your true north is never lost. It's just waiting for you to come home.